Caroline Dowd-Higgins. Thanks for listening to Your Working Life, my podcast series featuring thought leaders in the career and personal growth arena. Hey, I know that you spend a significant portion of your life at work, so my goal is to provide you with tools, inspiration, and resources so you can enjoy your career and love your life. And I am thrilled to welcome my very special guest to the show today, Maggie Huffman. Maggie, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Oh, you're so welcome. I want to tell our listening audience all around the world about you. Maggie Huffman is an author, speaker, and career coach. She uses anything that helps her clients to take inspired action and fulfill their true and full potential. These things can come from neuroscience, the corporate world, quantum physics, current culture, nature, nutrition, thought work, humor, spirituality, or random fun things. Maggie, you're my kind of woman, and you've got some amazing books that we're also going to talk about today. But I'd love for you to just start out. You have this really eclectic and, might I say, awesome toolbox from your bio of resources that you tap in your coaching and speaking and writing world. Tell me how this all came to pass.
It came to pass because I'm somebody that is I call myself a polyserial enthusiast, which means I love lots of things, lots of very different things. And I can become very obsessed with one thing and then move on to another thing. And as I've done that, I realize lots of people are like that too. And so as I go through a phase or as I go through an experience, I collect tools because I'm noticing what works for me and what works for other people. So that's how the eclectic toolbox came about.
Well, I love it because you're coming at it from so many different perspectives. I didn't mean to cut you off. Please keep going.
Oh no, that's okay. I also know that there is no one size fits all anything. Just full stop. No one size fits all. So that means the different things work for different people. That means different things work for us in different times in our lives, in different situations. So the more tools we have, the better off we are. If we just have a hammer, everything's going to look like a nail. I'm sure you've heard that before. And, you know, a hammer just doesn't really work when you're doing plumbing, for example.
So true. And, you know, as a fellow coach, I that is music to my ears because every person is different. It's like our fingerprint. So why would you use the same tools for everyone? So those listening out there that want a great coach, Maggie knows exactly what she's saying. Let's talk. You reuse a lot of business tools and language for personal career coaching. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, I have an eclectic toolbox, as we said, but specifically I love to use things that we learn in business, and I love to flip into business language. There are a couple reasons. The first is that these tools have had a lot of use and refinement. We know they work, and we have a level of trust that they're going to be able to deliver results. But the second reason is that we have a level of confidence and familiarity with our own ability to use those tools. And so we step into our confident skin. And that leads to the most important reason, which is that it helps us flip into the analytical part of our brain. It gets us out of fear and emotion. And frankly, that's usually when we need tools in our personal lives, when we're in some sort of crisis or situation that we want to make a change. And a lot of times we are in fear and emotion. So I want to flip out of that to calm the amygdala down so that we can get into our prefrontal cortex and turn on our less reactive and judgmental brain and become more proactive and analytical. Sometimes that's the right place to be, and those are the right tools to use. And like I said before, I want to use the right tool for the right task. So reusing business tools for personal growth and career coaching is a good fit.
You know, good segue, actually, Maggie. You talked about crisis, and your latest book is, Oh Snap, My Career is in Crisis. So help unpack for the listening audience, what is a career crisis and how does it show up in someone's life? And really, what's the impact? Because I can guarantee that all of us can relate on some level to our own personal career crisis.
Right. I think we've all had a career crisis. And the short definition of a career crisis is if you think you're in a career crisis, you are. But there are, right? Because that's how you're going to react. There are so many stereotypical crises, the obvious ones, being laid off or being fired, having a horrible boss, having to do a horrible job. There's some that are slightly more subtle. We're unfulfilled in our job, or we're not making enough money, or we're not advancing. We're being continually passed over for promotion. And then there's some that are even more subtle, but actually deeper. Those where we're really not working for our purpose, where we feel trapped, where we are in a toxic situation, or a culture that doesn't suit us, where stress is killing us, where we've had a life change and we have to adjust our career. We don't know how. Those are all different kinds of crises. They show up a lot of times. We take a lot of things out on ourselves. A lot of times they'll show up as stress, but they can also show up as acting out. We eat too much, or drink too much, or sit too much, or shop too much, or gamble, or avoid, or whatever our personal acting out behavior is. That can often indicate a crisis going on in what we box up as the career arena of our life.
So, Maggie, thousands of people, if not millions, are shaking their head in agreement that they can relate to some form of career crisis. So what's the first thing that you advise as an expert career coach to do if you feel that you're in crisis mode?
I always recommend RICE, which is the same acronym that you use when you have a traumatic injury, but it stands for something a little different. But RICE is easy to remember. First thing you're trying to do is relieve the symptoms. You don't jump to solve the crisis, you relieve the symptoms. And again, that's to get us out of fear and adrenaline and, emotional response. So RICE R stands for rest, relax, rejuvenate, and pursue relief. The I stands for intention and inquiry. So you set an intention that you're going to figure this out, you're going to ask questions and be honest, because lying to ourselves or even looking for the easier answer sometimes is not to our benefit. So just set an intention that we're going to be honest. Then C is compassion. Have compassion for yourself and for your situation. A lot of times we're really good at being compassionate for other people and not so awesome at doing it for ourselves. So in a time of crisis, be compassionate with yourself. And then E is for expectation. Two kinds of expectation, positive and realistic. So have a positive expectation that you're going to solve this crisis, and a realistic expectation that it's going to take work, but you'll do it one step at a time. So the RICE, that's what I recommend first thing when you're in a crisis.
That is beautiful. I really love that. And as a coach, I want to reinforce the self-nurturing concept, especially with the C, with the compassion, because quite often when we're in a crisis, the first thing we do is beat ourselves up. And there's enough of that in the world. We need to self-nurture and be kind, be gentle. So
absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
So let's talk a little bit about strategy, because as a coach, I know that you subscribe to the philosophy of action, taking action and having a plan and creating a strategy. So talk to us about what that means and what a coaching client of yours might expect in developing a strategy with you.
Well, I definitely believe in action, but I don't think it's the first thing that you do. Right. I think you do strategy first. And that's because action without a strategy, action without intention or a plan can be very random. It can send you in directions that you don't want to go. And so I say that you need a strategy first. If you start with action, it's like throwing spaghetti on a wall. You're going to be you're going to be hoping to something good sticks and it's going to be art, but it's not, right? It might be somewhat Picasso-esque, but it's just spaghetti on a wall and it's a mess and you have to clean it up. And a lot of times when we're in crisis, our knee-jerk reaction is to just jump into action. In a career crisis, we start sending out resumes and getting on job boards and talking to headhunters and going on interviews. And if you don't have a strategy, that's going to be a mess to clean up. You're going to spend a lot of time and energy in something that may not take you where you want to go. So if you're working with me, the first thing we would do is rice, of course, to get, to get calm and set our intentions to do the work. And then we develop a strategy, and the strategy is a six-step process that starts with taking charge of your life. So becoming very aware of what your own leadership role in your life has been. Have you been in charge, or have you reacted? Have you let the wind carry you, or have you made decisions and plans? And by the way, life happens, so the best plans can get upset. The apple cart can just topple over, and you have to pick your apples up and figure out where you're going to go next. So that takes leadership. So that's where we start, and we develop or articulate and decide on what leadership qualities you want to have over your own life. It's, it's a little bit trite, or it's a little cliche to say, but to become the CEO, the chief everything officer of your own life. Once you've done that, you take responsibility for making the change and the changes that you want. And the first thing is to figure out what that is. And that's getting clarity and crafting your strategy. So you get clarity, you ask deep questions. We work through a series of questions that help you understand what your purpose is, what your values are, what your aptitudes are, what you want in life. And a career strategy is just a portion of a life strategy. So it's really getting to an understanding of that. And once you have clarity, then you have to make choices and have to be curious and explore and figure out what you want to do, what you can do, and again, make choices. So there's lots and lots of choices to be made. And once you've done that work, then we craft a strategy. And I actually have like a template that I work people through, because putting a strategy into words is really powerful. That's how you create your roadmap for your life and for your career. So that's what we work through. And actually from there, a plan is pretty easy to create.
Well, I am geeking out. It sounds fantastic, coach to coach. I absolutely love what I'm hearing. Let's talk, though, Maggie, really candidly, work-life balance. Everybody's talking about the ever-elusive unicorn of work-life balance. Is it even possible?
I'm going to say something controversial right now, and I'm going to say no, because I think it's a myth.
Yeah.
I think the idea does more harm than good. If we think about work and life as two separate things, that can lead us to believe, maybe even be two separate people. And that's a kind of split personality that I think is harmful. It allows us to have a work life that doesn't blend or balance within the context of our life. I think a better way to understand it is that work is a part of life. It's one of many parts. And any decision we make regarding our work affects our life, and potentially vice versa. But life is the overarching thing there. So we can have a balanced life, and a component of that is work in its proper place, its proper the proper amount of time, fulfilling our purpose, where we're aligned with what our values and we're acting in integrity. rather than in a contrast. I think that contrast creates an awful lot of stress, and that's why people want to seek a work-life balance. But it's because we're not in alignment. Our work and career path doesn't support our life strategy.
I love how you articulated that. I think it's just so eloquent because balance implies this perfect symmetry, and I think that is unrealistic. And the work-life fit or the work-life integration gives you permission to prioritize what you need to and know that that can often change. And that's, I think, a much healthier way to look at it. So excellent. Great to hear your take on that. So, Maggie,
I love that you said that, work-life integration. That's beautiful.
Well, good.
Perfect.
Well, good. Well, we are on the same plane. Hey, you've got some extraordinary books out there and a new ebook as well. Tell us about your books and how we can buy them.
So I have 3 books. The first one that I wrote is called Whoops, I Forgot to Achieve My Potential. And that's kind of that happened to me. I woke up one day after some life things happened and said, hey, how did I get here? I didn't make a decision to be here. And wasn't I going to go do this? Wasn't I going to, be great at this? And now I'm doing that. And so I wrote a book that talks about my process, which was my own personal journey, but also several of my clients have gone through to rediscover what my path is to my potential. Actually, a lot of times it's rediscovering a new potential. Wait a minute, that's redundant. Discovering a new potential.
Right.
And then making decisions on how to get there. Awesome. So that's my first book. And it's fun. It's got to be fun. If it's not fun, why do it, right?
I hear you.
Yeah. And then my second book is called WTF, I Still Believe This. Bleep. Which is written for a lot of my clients who want to make a change, and they think that they're doing everything right to make that change. But no matter what they do, they end up back in the same place, the same job, just a different building, just a different boss, just a different company, the same boyfriend, or same relationship, just a different boyfriend or different husband, same in whatever kind of change they're trying to make, same behavior. And it's really not our fault. I mean, that's the thing we need to understand. It's outdated beliefs, it's not the same thing as limiting beliefs. Outdated beliefs are neural pathways that we paved when we were young, and they served us very well, but for some reason they got paved over. And we're not even really aware that we're still walking that walk along that pathway. But we are functioning by these outdated beliefs. And so we need a process to update the beliefs, to have our beliefs actually serve us today, not who we were when we created those beliefs. And so that's what that book is about. Mm-hmm. And both of those are available as ebooks and hardback, and they're available from Amazon. My latest book is Oh Snap, My Career's in Crisis. Mm-hmm. You see a theme here with the titles because I want everything has to be fun and accessible. I think that's just, humor is such a great tool. It belongs in the tool set. But it's written because I've realized that most of my clients came to me through the career door. Yeah. They didn't. Yeah. It's such a huge part of our life. And that's that's one of your messages, that it's such a huge part of our lives and it's a big piece of our identity. So, we can't do too much about the other things until we deal with that. But going back to the idea that it's all connected, right? Our career and our work is part of our life. I think you come in one door, but we all go out the same door. We're all talking about our life strategy. If we have a career crisis, it's actually a crisis in our life, and we need to do something about that, not just sit in it.
Well, Well, Maggie, you are a wealth of information. What a joy to have you on the show. I am so grateful that you shared your wisdom and expertise with our global listening audience today, and I hope our paths cross again soon.
Oh, I do too. You know what I forgot to do was tell people how they can get in touch with me.
Oh, please do. Tell us.
Which is so if you want to subscribe, if you want to go to my website and subscribe to my email list, you can get on my newsletter list. And my website is www.talktomaggie.com. And if you would like a free copy, ebook copy, Oh Snap, My Career's in Crisis, just send me an email at maggie@talktomaggie.com and mention that you were listening to this show in the subject line, and I'll send you a free copy.
Well, that is incredibly generous. Thank you so much. That is the deal of the century. So listen up, folks. Get that free ebook. Maggie, thank you so much. Really a joy. Thank you for all that you do, and I wish you continued success.
Thank you very much. It was just delightful talking with you.
You too, Maggie. And I want to thank you all for tuning in to Your Working Life, where my goal is to help you design your career destiny so it doesn't happen by default. Career and life satisfaction is possible, and it's time to embrace what you really love doing so you can do more of it. The show is now available on iTunes, YouTube, Podbean, and Stitcher. Leave a comment and subscribe because I always appreciate hearing from my listeners. I'm Caroline Dowd-Higgins. Take good care.